It's for real. I'm ready.
Bam, 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 bam. What is good? What is happening, everybody?
Ooh.
I am your boy, Fares Muthana, and welcome to the Let's Get Ready to Talk Schmoedown. Let's Get Ready to Talk Schmoedown podcast. Damn, I haven't introduced the show in a minute. Oh, I'm losing this
technically, it's the Schmoedown Crackdown.
Hey, give me a minute. Let's Get Ready to Talk Schmoedown podcast on this edition of the Schmoedown Crackdown, where we take the Schmoedown and we crack it. It is a great slate of matches. We had a pay-per-view. We had a versus. We had Andrew DiMolanta versus Thomas Harper. And breaking news. You have a new Star Wars champion in Thomas Harper. He'll be joining us a little bit later. But I'm never alone. And with me, as always, in spirit and in body, this is my right-hand man, Justin Hampton. Justin, how are you?
Yeah, what's up, guys? What's up? Yeah, pretty exciting times, man. Always with these, especially championship Star Wars matches and stuff, you can pretty much get hyped because they're going to be great no matter what. Like, even if there's a couple of questions that's missed, sometimes questions don't even get missed, but even when they occur, like, it's so shocking and entertaining. So, like, yeah, it's some good stuff.
All right, and Justin, and with us as always in spirit and through camera,
But never in body.
never in body. It is Danny. Danny, how are you, my man?
Glad to see you, Mr. Muthana. I missed you.
You know, I missed me. I missed me too. You know.
So
Actually,
we're going to talk about sports tonight.
No, we're not talking about sports. We're talking Schmoedown.
Yeah.
Talking movie trivia. But before
Shout
we
out
talk
to
about
Caleb.
that, yeah, shout out to Caleb. But before that, Justin, you actually have something special to say about something we're doing coming up, right, Justin?
Yeah, I want to put this
Yeah.
at the beginning of the video tonight and go ahead and get it out of the way because, like, this is something that we're going to do for next week, our next Friday. We're going to do the crackdown like we normally do. The biggest thing is like we want to kind of promote it at the beginning of this so that when people come back and rewatch, maybe they can't watch the full show or whatnot, but usually they can at least catch the beginning. Next week, when we do the show, we're going to do our normal Schmoedown talk after the pay-per-view, if there is one, or just for the matches and stuff like that. But one of the people in the community that's in our chat right now, that dude supported pretty much everyone. He supports everybody out there, whether it's with money and donations or whether it's just like shouting out their shows and stuff like that. Got hit pretty hard during the remnants of Ida, if I think that's the name of the hurricane that broke apart, and did a lot of flooding. He got hit really hard. So like next week's show, when we do that next week's show on Friday, any Streamlabs that you send in, like, so if you got a couple of bucks that you can spare or a couple of dollars you can save until next Friday or whatnot, save them, because any Streamlab that you send in that night, every single penny will be going toward Ed Haskell.
Yeah, shout out to Ed.
Yeah, Ed, that's for you, buddy.
Yeah,
It's
man.
got to
I
suck
heard
to
it.
lose almost everything for stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Ed's a wonderful guy. I've conversated with him a couple of times in certain chats. I hate his guts. He hates me, but that's fine.
He's the mayor.
Yeah, he's the mayor. I'm kidding. I think Ed's wonderful. Ed's a great dude. And yeah, man. And you know, let's help him out. Why not, man? You know, we help we help everybody else, man. Why not help the guy that helps everybody? You know, because he does something that not everybody could do.
Yes.
He supports people with time and attention. You know what I mean? Some people support people monetarily, and certain people do that. Ed does it with time and attention, and I think that's more important. And I really appreciate him for doing that. He always retweets our shows. He retweets the Good People Association. He retweets the Schmoedown. He retweets everybody, man. If you're somebody, Ed has probably made a tweet about your show or is going to make a tweet about your show, and let's help him out next week. So next week, everybody, all Streamlabs, we'll be going to Ed Haskell.
Exactly, guys. We are like a family. A dysfunctional one, but we're still a family. So
Exactly.
And in the words of Vin Diesel, Fares.
I don't have friends. I have family.
There we go.
Yes. There's a lot of family
Wait.
questions. Yeah.
Did John Lastrina join our? Oh no, that
No,
was
John, no, that was me. That was me.
Oh,
That
I
was
got
me.
you.
And on that note, guys, speaking of the family, let's start the show with the singles matches first, because the two other matches we'll converse with our guests.
Yeah.
So right away, Eric Zipper versus Janine the Machine. It's looking nice and sweet. It's 7-6 Zipper in the first round, but then there's some things going on in the first round that certain people have been talking about. So let's talk about it. Janine missed. I don't know what question it was. I think it was animated. I think it was question 5 animated, where it was Kelly Marie Tran and Daniel Day Kim voice characters in this said Disney animated film. The answer is the answer was it's Raya and the Last Dragon. Janine says Raya the Last Dragon. Ellis, due to the benefit of the doubt, gives it to her, and then they move on. Then Winston comes on and makes his case. He's saying Raya the Last Dragon and Raya and the Last Dragon are not the same film. They are completely two different films, and I don't believe she should get the point. So I'm doing an official challenge. I like the way how Winston presented himself. I like the way his thoughts were conveyed, and he wasn't like bombastic and like, oh, this is nonsense. He laid his points out very smoothly, and then Roxy came. No, respectfully. Then Roxy came and used her points, used the rules in her favor, saying benefit of the doubt. There's no other film called Raya and the Last Dragon, so there is no confusion. You know what she meant. Benefit of the doubt. Let's move on. So, on that note, Danny, your thoughts on the situation?
Look,
was it correct? Was it incorrect? Did both parties do what? Your thoughts?
I wouldn't say like it's up to me to say it's correct or incorrect. The only thing that I will say is this, that let's take the individuality of this match and let's talk about the ruling itself, because I think this is the conversation. This is where the conversation should go. Not like, let's forget Zipper, it's Janine, it's Roxanne Wins. Let's talk about the ruling itself. For me, the benefit of the doubt rule exists to separate those titles of movies that don't have like very similarity. So I would agree with Roxy's point that there is no other movie called like Raya the Last Dragon. If there was a movie like that, if it was like two movies with similar titles, I don't think that the rule applies to itself. However, and I think this is where the controversy lies, is that we are at a point in the Schmoedown, like almost like we are going to reach the 9th season, like almost a decade now, and the questions are getting so much harder. And I think what they're taking so much from the competitors that it's going to reach a point that the rule book and the Schmoedown and the gods of the Schmoedown, people that rules the Schmoedown, has to state you either have the entire question word by word correctly or not. Because you can't have situations like this that you have a controversy because of a comma or because of an article or because of something like that. Personally, to me, I don't see that as a problem. I don't see why people would be so upset that Janine got the point. But that being said, I think for next year, this is another case that they have to at least make it very clear that when in this case that you don't have a similar title, the benefit of the rule, the benefit of the doubt rule applies, or just say it, you have to have the entire title exactly like how it is. You cannot be in the middle. Being in the middle is causing problems.
Justin.
I think this is one of those rules that are put in place, kind of like when you look at football, right? And they make all these rules where like holding and everything else against the wide receivers so that they can get open easier, so that they can get more points, because they want to have more points in the games, because they think that's how people get entertained, by seeing touchdowns, by seeing more points, right? So they do these little minor rules that makes it a little easier, right, for that stuff to happen. I feel like this rule was something started kind of like that, because there would be people all the time that would miss an article like A and the whatever in like some of these things, but you knew like really they knew the answer, right? But people get excited over the points, right? Just like this, like any other thing, they get excited over the stats and all this other stuff. So I think this is something that they implicated for that reason, for that same similar style reason. The thing with it is, is when it comes to like a lot of other things, I don't think this directly relates because we're talking about like movie trivia where it's something that we can look up the facts easier, right? Like a lot of things, like I just talked about in another sport, they're all like subjective in some ways. Like, did he do this or did he do that? They don't get called all the time and all this stuff. Whereas in this, everyone that reads or sees or gets the answer, everyone can literally look it up and see what the exact answer is. So I think that's why this makes it a little bit different. With that being said, like most people, if you're a Janine the Machine fan, can look at this and go like, she knew the answer. I mean, come on, like she knew what the movie was. Like, so technically, you know, like you can look at it as like she was being correct. But then it gets confusing because we have something like Star Wars where they have to be exact. Like there's none of this. If you missed and in Star Wars matches, for instance, like you're not going to get that benefit of the doubt.
That actually happened in the championship match. There was a question that actually happened. Someone added something, and in the second singles match, James and Brittany, someone added something.
Right.
So yeah.
So, but that's my point. Is like in the Star Wars that doesn't happen, right? Like you're going to be called out on that. So people get confused because they'll watch a Star Wars match at the beginning of the week or at the end of the week, and you have like another style match, like a singles match, and then they use a rule like that. So like it is one of those things. Now, my thing is I'm not going to be stamping around with pitchforks, you know, like that, like, and being like super pissed off about it because in the end it was a 1-point question and she beat him by 2 points. Right. So it's one of those things to where
you didn't decide the match.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't really decide the match. And like we just talked about the Buccaneers and Cowboys game where there was a possible offensive pass interference. And a lot of people are going to be saying like, you can't let the refs, you can't let those like that determine the outcome. You should have made those field goals at the beginning and stuff like that. So with Zipper, he should have got a couple more questions right. And he wouldn't have had to worry about this, right? He possibly wins the match, even with that being said, and even with that being done. And let's don't like single people out because like what they do is you have the 2 people on the desk. And if I'm not mistaken, there's at least 2 others that are behind the scenes, usually a question writer and someone else who actually keys into that thing, right? When they do challenges. So like, it's not on one person, it's on like multiple people. And we don't even know how close it was, right? Because they don't let us know. They don't say, oh, it was a 3-1 vote or anything like that. This could have came down to a 2-2 tie. And then someone had to make the difficult decision, like be a tiebreaker. Or something
Here's the thing. We only see like a couple of seconds of challenge. What if it took them about 20 minutes?
How much took them in an hour? Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows what they got? Like it could have been a wild deliberation. That's the thing. It could have been a lot of deliberation. You know what I mean?
Look, to add to Justin's point, like not using like what happened today on the title match, but like in Star Wars, if you say Rise of Skywalker as a title and not The Rise of Skywalker as a title, I don't believe you're going to get the questions correct. So I think like, let's go to design, guys. The simplest designs are the best ones. So if you're going to ask that much to be exact on a division of Schmoedown, it should be on throughout all the divisions, not just Star Wars, not just IG. It has to be all the ones. I think that would be the best path moving forward. Like, as of this day, now you have to say a title. You have to write the title and the name exact as it is, if no kind of mistakes, flaws, typos or anything like that. It is what it is. It's the game. I think it would make things much, much easier for everyone.
Yeah, I
agree.
Yeah, like me, I'm gonna be real. I think they kind of made the wrong choice because I wouldn't have given Janine the point myself because I agree with Winston's logic. Same thing with it was Ed's logic in the chat, where it's like you reduced to the 2 characters. You said Raya the Last Dragon means it's about one person. It's Raya and she's the last dragon. And Raya and the Last Dragon there's Raya and the Last Dragon. Sifu or like Shifu or something like that. I don't remember the dragon's name.
Like it's leaving a V or an A or something like that out of the title usually doesn't make like it actually sound or be really different. Like the title is still the same. And in this case, Raya the Last Dragon, if I were to go watch that movie, I'm expecting Raya to be the last dragon. But if you add the and to it, it's a totally different movie that I go into, right? It's Raya and the Last Dragon. So there's like another character that is going to be the so-called Last Dragon. So like that does literally make a difference, right? Like when you see the title like that and everything else. So like, look, it's one of those things. It's going to happen because
we'll talk about this match a little bit more. We'll talk about this match a little bit more, but unfortunately, let's pause this right now. Let's pause this match discussion real quick.
Pause the controversy.
Just real quick. Let's pause the controversy real quick because you know how we say, man, 3 is a party, 4 is a crowd, but not this time 4 isn't a crowd. 4 isn't a crowd. 4 is a party. 3 is a crowd, 4 is a party, 5 is a fiesta. That was the saying I created.
And the 6, I'm not going to say.
Listen.
Let's not talk about the 6. But 4. Let's add the 4th person, Justin.
Yeah,
Justin, you want to do your thing? You want to do your thing, Justin?
Look, this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say this right now.
I'll click him. You introduce him.
Listen, I want to say this right now. Last year, I jumped on the Adam Collins bandwagon, baby, and we chewed our ass all the way through a tournament victory and a belt win. And I'm not going to lie to you. From the very beginning, since we interviewed this man the first time, and he's came on multiple times, not just because he's part of the Schmoedown or whatever, but this dude is one of the most amazing people in the Schmoedown period. What he does as a father, what he has done for our country and serving our country like he has, all that. Plus, this dude is a nerd that loves Star Wars like he does. And you're going to be able to tell when I pull him up, you're going to be able to look at his background and realize that. I jumped on this man's bandwagon for the very beginning. And guess what, baby? The ham bone train kept rolling. Because not only did this man go through a tournament and be the victor, beat the guy who said self-proclaimed gold leader who flipped us off on the show one time by a creative picture that he had. The dossier. Dossier can go to hell because guess what? He got ripped up whenever my man, this guy that I'm about to introduce, came in there and wrecked shop over him.
I'll click it.
Went on and defeated the man who has defeated the monster, who defeated Alex Damon, the demon, twice, back to back. This guy right here, look, I went on a little bit too long because he shouldn't need so much of an
a friend of the show.
You people already know his name.
One of us.
Put respect on the name. And that respect needs to go to this man right here, the Major, Mr. Thomas Harper.
Gentlemen,
how you doing, Thomas?
I feel like something changed since the last time we talked. I don't know.
I think something did change.
Different.
Yeah.
It feels different.
Yeah, it feels different.
Did you cut your hair or something? I think it's that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, new setup, a new setup, new camera setup, something like that.
Yeah. Maybe a new shirt.
Feels different.
A new shirt, like you get a new shirt.
You know, I bought this one Den shirt at the beginning of the year, believing that it would mean something. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And today, it has before today, but today it means something special. I like it.
It does.
Congratulations, Mr. Thomas.
Well, Thomas, let's get down to the nitty gritty. It was you, Andrew DiMolanta. You beat Andrew DiMolanta, who people look like, hey, he beat Alex Damon twice. Then he beat Lord Kelly. It looked like he was on a roll and the momentum was on his side. And he ran into the Major. The Thomas, like Justin said, the wagon. The wagon rolled over the Hunter. And I just want to get into your mindset going into this match. What was going through your mind as you're preparing for this match with the Den?
I go back to a comment that the Beast himself, William Bibiani, made post-collision. He said, and I don't know if it might have been, Danny, you might have been in on this conversation. I can't remember which show it was on, but he said that the moment that recording got done, they reached out and they said, hey, Drew, are you gonna take a day off, or when are we gonna get back to it? And the Hunter's response was, let's get started with Harper. He didn't take an hour off with me. That's the kind of competitor, that's the kind of warrior that the Hunter is, and that's what he showed tonight. So I don't want to get it twisted or get it lost in the shuffle that Andrew didn't play to the exact level that he's capable of. This match, I'm very glad it ended in a Schmoedown way, right? This wasn't like a season 7 spectacular victory, TKO victory for Damon, where he just clearly outmatches Ace in terms of Star Wars knowledge, and there's just that difference there. This was
a callback.
Yeah, I mean, this was a difference of how you play the game, and I genuinely don't know. Peggy, your name is etched on that belt.
Travis Fishburne. Congrats, Thomas.
I can't wait to see you in the MTS. You belong here, Travis. But no, the degree to which he played is the exact. In fact, I think he played even better than he played in the Laura Kelly match, even better than he played in Damon Dimolanta too. I was openly critical of Dimolanta and his play style when this season started. Not because he lacked talent, but because I felt at the start of the season that he had certain flaws that I wasn't confident that he could overcome. He blew that out of the water. And this match, although a loss for him, was an exhibit A in sort of the new Dimolanta 2.0. So he's going to continue to be a force in this league. I count myself very fortunate that he's not in the tournament. I don't fault him at all for wanting to take a knee and wait until next season to get back into the mix. But at the same time, my mentality was that's your competition. That's the level of focus that you have to match and surpass. And so that gave me sort of the drive from right after the tournament final to really focus in and make sure that I wasn't slipping.
Danny.
Look, I'm going to point out something that Thomas opened, that this match was resolved in a Schmoedown way. And I think this is the most truthful statement about this pay-per-view, because not to be a downer, but it is a fact. I don't care about numbers. I don't care about how accuracy. I don't care about how many points you gain or not, how many questions you got right or wrong. I care about the momentum. I care about the state, about the mentality, about the preparation, about the engagement of the players and us as fans as well. However, one thing that I noticed watching this a few hours ago is that technically you missed more than the Andrew.
Yeah.
But you kept your focus and you didn't miss in the opportunities that were required for you to not miss. So, yes, some people can say, oh, Andrew played better than Thomas. But this is a great example, I think, for all Schmoedown fans, that accuracy, how many points you get, how many questions you have, is not the most important. The numbers are not the most important stuff for the Schmoedown. They're impressive. They are data. We can use it as data. But look, one of the stuff that I noticed as you played, it was like how you look into the camera. I could see the focus. I could see the nerve. I could see the pressure. And how you handled until the very last moment when Christian says, and Neil is like that explosion of happiness. For me, this is a Schmoedown moment for me. I was yelling at Fares like 30 minutes ago. No title match of this season had me emotionally invested besides this one. I don't think I cheered up for somebody to win a belt for 3 years, but now I cheered for you, Thomas. Congratulations.
Thank you. That means
Actually,
that means a lot.
fact check. You both missed 2 questions.
Yeah, you got to count Damon as a bonus question.
Yeah, Drew's
No, not Damon, but Demolante's bonus question.
Yeah. He missed 2 of them. Well, 3 if you count.
I did miss the speed around question.
Yes,
on one.
Yeah. Yep. It was 3-2 then. It was 3-2.
But no, I go back to I think Drew would be the first to say that in Damon Dimolanta 1, that was a Schmoedown victory, right? That wasn't like Alex knew the answer to that question, but he couldn't pull it in 15 seconds.
Yes,
that's a Schmoedown victory. Those are the rules of the game. Alex knows it. Like you could see, like you go back and watch that match and you could see the desperation on Damon's face where he's like, can I just say it? But he couldn't write it down. And Drew was the first to admit, like, this was a Schmoedown victory. This is this is the battlefield that we play on. It is what it is. Right. And that's what this match was. Like, I came out of round 1 feeling a lot the same as I did after the Ace match in round 1, where you get just like socked in the chest twice. But I knew not only were there 4 more rounds remaining, but I knew that round 2 was next. and that there'd be the opportunity, depending on the spin and depending on the questions, that he might forfeit some points over. And this was I DM'd Laura Kelly after this match was over, and I said, our match was like the reverse sort of shadow match of yours, because I'm sure that he came out of round one with some confidence, despite missing the bonus. A 2-point lead in a Star Wars match like has to make you feel good going into round two. But I'm so glad, I hate that Laura had to lose Collision, but I'm so glad that I watched and I played along with that match, because it was a learning experience for me, because I watched her walk out of round one with that seemingly commanding lead, and then only to see the match turn out the way it did. And I sat back after that match. I played along with Ross, and I said, if Dimolanta can win after that round one, then anything is possible. And that's sort of all I could focus on after missing that second question in round one. So that, it's a credit to sort of Laura and how that match went. And I don't know what was going on in Dimolanta's head, but I have to believe he was pretty confident going into round two. And you can see the change in his body language the moment he misses that question. Because I had that steal loaded. Mark didn't need to read that question for me to steal that answer. I had it written on my board, was ready to go, didn't need multiple choice, didn't need anything. And like, honestly, in that moment, if you see me look off screen and do something very briefly in between questions, it's because I keep a personal count, a personal score sheet of how the match is going. I misscored it. I scored that we were 20, tied. And I was like, okay, well, I've at least earned sudden death at this point. We'll see if we can keep that. And then they announced that I was 2 points ahead. And I was like, oh shit, it's a 4-point swing, not a 2. So that was a surprise even to me at the end of round two.
Yep, we actually have a stream.
First, before you go, just let me just say something, because I know Tron said that I am exaggerating. I'm not. If you actually watch the second match between Damon and Dimolanta, Damon lost 2 questions in the first round, and I don't think he had the composture of keeping that match. This is exactly what I'm talking when I say about numbers. Like, I said in this show that I was disappointed, Damon. I don't like when champions, like caliber champions of players, lose their composure during a match, even though they are against the odds. That's why when I say that was emotionally invested to me, it was emotionally invested to me. I didn't cheer for anybody who won a belt last year, not even Adam Collins, even though we were in the Adam Collins train, like Justin said. The last time that I cheered was the first win, the first defense of the Founding Fathers back to Spectacular 4. So
I'll say this, Fares, before you take the controls of the train back over. This match was not a comfortable one to sit in. It was one that spiked my blood pressure. But I would rather win in this fashion than go have another 5-round perfect PPE game like I did against Gold Leader and have people sit back and say, well, what if Harper misses one? What happens then? We've seen him miss one in the Gold Leader match, but that was a 3-rounder. That was the tournament. What happens when he misses one with the stakes on the line? This answers that question. I stay in the pocket. I take 2 in the chest, and I get back up. And you saw me play nearly perfect after that. The speed round question is on me. I didn't take my time and listen properly to the question. I knew the answer to that. It's just the fault of mine. But other than that one miss, what are you going to say about my performance after that? I proved that in trying circumstances, I can claw my way back in and win a high stakes match. So I'm glad that it happened in that fashion.
Yep. And to your point, for you, Thomas, from ASG, for Harper, since I know nothing about Star Wars, for that round 2 steal, what did you think of that question? And were you surprised Andrew got it wrong so you could steal?
It was a tough question, no doubt. It belonged in round 2. They've traditionally had this balance where you maybe get one relatively easy question in round 2, a couple medium to hard, and one exceptionally hard. You saw that in my mixed bag category. I would argue that the Rogue One screenwriter was on the harder end, and the question about Sector 12, like the sector that rebel troops are sent from in Empire, was on the hard level. It's a Schmoedown question, right? This is the other reason why I say it was a Schmoedown victory, because that type of question doesn't exist in Dragon Con. Counting questions, questions that rely on you to know the number of something in particular on the screen, those are rare at best in Dragon Con. And to get a steal, and I knew that immediately. It was something that I studied. It's something that when I watched The Force Awakens, I was like, they're probably going to ask about that. Let me make sure that I know that. That's why I had it preloaded so fast. And as soon as they asked it, I was like, I bet he's going to get this wrong. It's not an easy question. It's a very difficult question. And, you know, he's not like off the reservation in his guess. But I was like, I was just sitting there like, I won't be surprised at all if he messes this up, and I'll be right there. I said it in one of my, I think it's in the promo that Nerd Chronic cut. But I said, if you mess up in round 2, I will be there to scoop up those points immediately. And again, tactically, if I'm in that position, I check down. I know that the 4 multiple choice are probably going to be like 4, 5, 6, and 7 or something like very close there.
Yeah, I think it was 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. But if he checks down there, we're in sudden death, and who knows where it goes from there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Schmoedown error. Drew would be the first person to admit that, and I think he said as much in his post-match interview. But you know, I stood to benefit.
I actually have a theory on that, because I remember Gold Leader checked down one and lost it because of the check down. So that probably maybe I don't know. Maybe if that reached into Andrew's mind, where like he remembered what happened to Gold Leader against you. I don't know if that's what happened, but that could be a thing. That could be a thing, because if anyone has half a brain, when they see someone check down and still lose, or like same thing with Zach. Zach, it happened to him twice, I think. I think it happened to Zach twice.
For Zach.
Once for Zach, once for Gold Leader, once for Parker, where Parker had to check down in his IG match. So like, so that kind of creeps into somebody's mind if people are paying attention. That's all I say. Justin, you have anything for Thomas?
Well, of course I got something for Thomas. We've basically been best friends since he's joined the Schmoedown. And one of the reasons why I looked at him and was like, yo, this guy can come in here and do something special, because with this victory, winning this belt, he's probably almost locked down Rookie of the Year. Like, I'm not going to say nobody else has a chance, because somebody like Griffey Nooms over there in the singles could run through that tournament and do the same kind of thing where he wins a belt, and it's going to be a really tough decision at the end of the year. But Rookie of the Year, Thomas Harper almost has it locked down. But some of the things is this. Yeah, some of the things, though, that like when I saw Thomas Harper and spoke to Thomas Harper, the things that I, keyed on was, this dude isn't just coming in here and studying Star Wars. This guy's coming in here and studying the Schmoedown. Like, literally, I could probably ask him anything about the rules book. Thomas Harper knows it. He's already gave us a little bit of a history of certain past things that he's already went back and watched, and not just about like Star Wars events. It was about like other singles things. So this dude studied the actual Schmoedown itself, along with studying Star Wars and everything else. I mean, maybe that's because of the fact that, he's a lawyer and everybody knows that. Like, that's probably the way the lawyer thinks, right? It's like, yo, I'm about to I need to know all the details, because that's what you have to do being a lawyer. So I don't know if that's something that like automatically is ingrained in Thomas's head, right? Like that might be something that helps you out there because of that way of thinking. But it's about the game, not just the answers. Because if it was about the answers, like we just said, Thomas technically possibly would have lost, because it was like 3-2 on missed questions. Thomas Harper won because of points, but he won because of the Schmoedown, the game itself. Like, that right there is something that I do think people should be worried about if you're going up against Thomas Harper, because he's not this normal rookie. He's not this guy who's going to come in and not know how to play the game. So with that being said, right, like, Thomas, I mean, what do you have to say about that, really? Because like I said, breaking it down, it's really because of like the mindset that you come in here. You didn't just study Star Wars; you studied the Schmoedown itself.
Yeah, I mean that was important to me to prove the folks that doubted, not just me, but that doubted Marie, that doubted Zach, that I in particular could come in and I'll know the game better than you. I'm going to out strategize you, and the moment that you make a mistake, I'm going to pounce on it. And I was fortunate to have that opportunity here to sort of turn the tide. Yeah, that was really important for me for the community's sake as well, because it's one thing to say, hey, Thomas just went perfect again. He just answered a bunch of questions right. It's another thing to say Thomas maneuvered himself through an MTS match, took opportunities that were given to him. And we've seen competitors crumble after a bad round one. We've seen competitors crumble and just under the pressure of a steal that could change the course of the game, just crumble and not be able to pull an answer. And that question in any other match could have been a 5-pointer easily. So to be able to, and you all know, I've been with you and I've talked to y'all since January several times. You know that I'm normally a humble person, but now that I have the belt on my shoulder, I feel like I've earned a little bit of like letting myself off the leash. And I say, like, if, you know, if no, it's not even the dark side. It's just speaking the truth.
Yeah.
There is no other rookie that's playing this game like I am playing this game. There's no other rookie that's playing matches to the degree that I'm playing these matches. I really could not care less about accolades like Rookie of the Year or Player of the Year. That the belt is what mattered to me. I've got the belt, but to anybody else that's out there like thinking that they're in the race, I've now set the bar for you. And it's not enough to just win the title, right? Because I won the title on the back of a tournament win, on the back of multiple perfect games, on the back of multiple, 2 major come from behind victories. So if that body of work isn't enough to put me at the top of the heap for Rookie of the Year, that says a lot about the rookie class, but I don't know what else I can do at this point. And if Rookie of the Year, if that race comes down to who defends at Spectacular, that's good for the Schmoedown, but that's absolutely insane. And I'll tell you right now, Amaru has the best chance to do it. As good as Horowitz and Griffey Nooms are, I think right now it's between myself and Amaru. Amaru has a mountain to climb, and he'll do it toward the end of this month with his match against Mike. But I've set the standard, and I'd like to think that I've set it awfully high up in the air.
I just want to point out that I just said like the dark side is a joke, and now people are really like, he's a heel now, he's not a heel now. Like, guys, he's just stating. Go ahead, Justin. Go ahead.
It's a joke, people. It's a joke, people. Justin,
to the dark side. No, I mean, it is what it is. Like to come out there and get wins and stuff like that, and to be like super confident. But one of the things I wanted to say, because we do have another guest that's on the way, he's running a little late, but like, the deal with that is I think that both of you guys have really, like, at the beginning of the year, the Den didn't have an identity to a lot of people. It was like, okay, like, what's going to be there? Who's going to be the top dog? Who's going to take control? And who's going to do this? But on the backs, and I'm not saying nobody else in your faction has like helped out, because they have. So I'm not trying to like disrespect them when I say this, but 2 members officially have put this team on their backs and have at least gave them a chance. And that's you. And then that's our other guest that's going to be coming up a little bit later, Saul. And one of the big things I will say this, like, there is a stat out there, because we all talk about stats, that Saul is number 1 in steals for the league this year, period.
7 out of 8.
Yep. And like, you got a big steal in this game, but like, really speak on to the fact of like you and Saul kind of getting together here, 1 in Star Wars and 1 in IG, and kind of raising this team, the Den, up to a point to where they legitimately now have a chance.
Yeah. It speaks to the work ethic, right? And if names were etched on that belt, the names of people like Saul, Lacey, Ross, Peggy, switchblade, they would all be etched on there right alongside my name, because it was a complete team effort. But what do Saul and I have 20 points now on the season, right? Which puts me fourth, third in terms of overall. You've got 96 competitors in the league, and a rookie is number 3 in terms of points generated for a faction. Saul is a sophomore with one match under his belt into his sophomore season. He's earned more points than your number 1 competitor in Marisol. He's earned more points than like 90% of the competitors, veteran or not, in this league. And combined, we have 65% of the points for the Den. That's not a knock. Our teammates have just had a rough time, but I think Saul and I have recognized when our teammates are down, it's on us to really put them on our shoulders and carry them. And I felt if there was any pressure on me coming into this title match, it was that my faction was down. Mm-hmm. My faction has invested a ton in me personally, to include Saul, who has his own matches to prep for, but nonetheless dedicates a ton of time to me. And I owe them a debt. I still owe them a debt. I even, walking into Spectacular, there is still a debt to be paid. And, that's going to fuel me up until that match. But the way I see the Den coming into season, season 9?
Yes.
With this restructuring, I don't know how the faction rosters will line up, but I would like to think that the Den is now going to be known as a bastion of Star Wars and of IG. Because if I have any say in it, I will not only stay with Kate, with General Mulligan, but I will stay with Saul by my side, and other players will be clamoring to join our team because of that bedrock that we have. So I think in this victory today, in what Saul's going to do against Parker in the tournament finals, we put the Den back on the map, or maybe on the map, and we're going to be the team to really look out for in season 9.
I agree with that. And I hope Saul doesn't delay a lot, because, I want to see his perspective as well.
We'll talk to him when he gets
exactly.
here.
Because I have a question, because going back a little bit back to the match, because I do have a question about that. I don't know if you had the opportunity to see our interview with Laura back at the Collision after party. I think you hop in a little bit in the chat or something. I want to talk about the spin route, because maybe I'm overtaking it, but this is the impression that I got. For me, it was the most tense moment for you. That's what I saw from your facial expressions, the way that you answer the questions. I don't know if I'm saying dumb stuff or not. Regardless of that, I want not only to know what was your mind space on that round, but also I want to know how is the preparation now, because it's not going to be the fast money round, is going to be the buzzers. And as we saw back in the titles match against the Dan and Ethan, that was a very, very important match. That was a very important strategy. So I'd like to, and Laura also pointed out that she doesn't like neither of those formats. She doesn't she has a proper argument that speed rounds should not rely on something physical or another type of skill that's not relatable to know movie trivia, in this case Star Wars trivia. So I'd like to know what's your mindset about the speed round, both formats and stuff like that.
Yeah, I like the buzzer round. I thought the Ethan Murrow match was one of the most fun to watch of the entire season. I had a blast watching. I wish I was in person at the cantina to see that. I can only imagine the electricity there. What's the most significant quiz show that you can think of in modern history in the last 50 years? Jeopardy. What does Jeopardy rely on? If you've known anybody that competes on it, it's the buzzer. I have one of my best friends who is my best man at my wedding is a Jeopardy champion. He
Nice.
has won a game. Although he
One
fucked
game.
it all up in his second game and lost. I actually had when my first daughter was born, his first match was airing. So I have a picture holding my newborn with him on the TV in the background as he wins the match. But anyways, when he first competed for that competition before he got the spot on the show, he was like, I underestimated how much the buzzer mattered. I got blown out of the water. There's a whole strategy around the buzzer that there are like entire threads on the internet about buzzer strategy. And you're talking about the smartest people in the world competing in that. Like if you were to give the 4 competitors on any Jeopardy show even footing, they just answer all the questions correctly. Like there'd be very little daylight. It'd be like the average Star Wars match. So I look forward to the buzzers in the sense that it adds some real flavor and some drama to the whole thing. I really like the speed round, and I think in this speed round, if you saw some stress or whatever on my face, it's because I have the utmost respect for the hunter. Mm-hmm. I expected Drew to go perfect. I knew that I had a very, very small buffer to work with. And, playing on the East Coast as the hunter was, we're playing at night. I'm not playing when like first thing in the morning when we first wake up and we're fresh. So you got to navigate the whole day and make sure that you're okay and you're fresh to play. And the speed round just requires a different level of mindset and a focus. And it's just in the background, my prep since July is with Ross, who is constructing some of the most brutal speed rounds that you can possibly imagine. And especially after we watched Collision together, he was like, okay, I'm going to really crank this up on you. And you need to train for the tactical aspects of this. It really matters very little what questions you get. It matters much more how you navigate through those questions, in particular, the ones that you just don't know, that you blank on. And I messed up. I heard a question wrong. I heard the Rogue One question that I got wrong. I jumped on it, should have passed. And that could have easily come back to bite me. But I really look forward to the buzzers because it's a totally different skill set. And nobody's seen me on buzzers before. There are only 2 people in the tournament with buzzer experience, Laura Kelly and Damon, and they're on opposite sides of the bracket. So, I think at best it's a wash. I look forward to it, quite frankly. I think it's going to be fun. Those buzzer matches in the past, like spectacular between Laura and Alex, Alex past matches with the buzzer, those are some of my favorite in the Schmoedown history. So to get a chance to be a part of that narrative is just awesome.
Now,
Justin,
I got something that I want to point out, and the biggest thing here is this: like Thomas Harper or dislike Thomas Harper, maybe just because you have it doesn't have to be personal, right?
Because you're a horrible human being.
Maybe you just have another person that you root for in the Schmoedown. It doesn't have to be personal. You can be just a big Alex Damon fan because you loved him from the very beginning and everything. But the point I want to make
I'm a
here
big
is
Alex Damon fan. I don't hate Thomas.
Regardless of what it is, like or hate.
Yeah, he's my best
regardless
friend.
of what it is, like or hate Thomas Harper. The one thing I give this guy props for, because Danny said something earlier about engagement, is that this guy like literally loves the Schmoedown. And why? Because the past 6 years he's competed in another tournament that's been pretty important to him called Dragon Con, and he sat out this year. He did not compete in that so that he could properly prepare himself for the Schmoedown. So like or hate, you have to give the guy respect for showing the Schmoedown its proper respect by actually putting something else aside for this. And he was able to come in and got the job done. So like you got a little bit of a process about like, your decision making on that. Was it an automatic like, oh crap, I can't do Dragon Con, I'm just going to do the Schmoedown because I want to win that belt? Or was it something that was kind of hard to decipher?
It was an easy decision. Easy, but not easy. Easy in the sense that I committed to this league. I've said repeatedly that I'm committed to the fan base, to the league. and I mean that very deeply. That doesn't exactly translate if on one day I'm playing Dragon Con Trivia and on another day, very close in time, I'm playing this title match. And there's a world in which I play Dragon Con, and because I split my focus, I lose this title match. And what's that worth? Right? So I wanted to send a message, not just to Andrew, but to the fans and to the other competitors in this league, that I'm deadly serious about what I do. You can call me a droid. There are people on Reddit that have called me the most boring player in the league.
Let's say the same stuff about that in comments.
There are
Droids
people,
are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
HK47, guys. Auto reference.
You know, there are people that genuinely do not like Reddit in particular. There are people that downvote everything that I post. I typically run like a competition, like a little contest every match to see who can identify the patches on the back of my board. There are people that don't like me enough to downvote my post about the competition, right? I'm not going to win over everybody, but I'm going to win that belt. I'm going to keep that belt. And like me or hate me, I really, really do not care. You can go pound sand.
Hey, you came close today with showing your baby, though.
Well,
smart move.
She's much more attractive than I am. How I contributed in any way to her is beyond me. But no, I would say that I hope I sent home the message here today. And I want to say congrats to Marie for defending back-to-back. She's the only other person other than me to defend a Dragon Con championship. So that's it, first time that's been done in the 7-year span that it's been running since the Canon reboot.
She's the only reason why I bought that sticker.
Yeah, she's phenomenal. She's phenomenal. But I knew to get the job done against Andrew, I needed all my focus on the MTS. And I meant what I said in the post-match. Like, I miss Dragon Con because of the community. I miss getting to go out with Alex, to go out with Molly, have a drink and be like, Jesus Christ, that was tough. But this is beyond worth it. And I would say that I would give you the same answer if I had lost by the same margin.
Mr. Harper, as you go out there and try to steal the hearts of all the men and women, especially with your babies, we got the Steals leader.
Everyone, let's get ready for the Saul Show.
And without further ado, it is the one, the only Saul.
Wait a minute. No disrespect to Saul, because I love you like a brother. Where the fuck was my intro like that? That was awesome.
Hey, we had to talk.
Listen here. Listen, rookie.
Thank you, Thomas. That's my work, by the way.
Saul, come New York. Come. What do you got? 3 weeks. I'm gonna hit you upside the head with this belt.
Oh, nice. Nice.
With the belt, as long as you bring the belt, that's a bump I'll gladly take.
Listen, I'm going to tell everybody out there right now, this is what kind of asshole sometimes the people that love Saul, I'm just going to tell you what kind of asshole he is. I hit the video and set it up perfectly, and this jackass jumps out of StreamYards. So we're sitting here, I'm like, oh my God, he's not even here anymore. This asshole is really going to do this to us. But nah, he popped in right at the last second. Awesome stuff.
God, the joke was I didn't want anyone to be there when he got out of the video, but I didn't time it well enough. So what's up, Schmoedown fans? Anything exciting happen this evening?
A lot of exciting things happen. We have the Den has a new champion as well. The Den started off our week with Sorry.
Wait. Saul, I'm very bad at math. How many points did you and I get for the den this week?
I think that's an even 10, I believe.
Oh, yeah. 10 points. Okay.
10
all right.
points even.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's
the den. Sorry. Can you finish your thoughts?
No, go ahead. I get weirded out.
I was going to introduce the den. Started our week. We ended with the den. We started with the den this week. Our early Patreon match on Monday and our Wednesday release was Saul versus Moose Haas, and the Mountain Man himself went big game hunting and got himself a moose. Put it on his wall. TKO'd Moose Haas. Saul, what was your mindset and your preparation going into your match against Moose Haas?
All of a sudden, I'm the fucking Mountain Man. What does that mean?
Yeah,
is that some sort of thing you're doing, Fares?
Exactly. Yeah.
You're a big shot calling basketball games now, and you think, oh, I got to have a nickname for everybody. Like,
sure, why not? I quite enjoyed
mountain, Saul. No, it doesn't.
It was a compliment, man. You went big game hunting. You got yourself a moose, some caribou.
I mean, he could have called you hillbilly.
Yeah, I could have done that.
That's my line. You can't.
The redneck Saul.
I got to save that line for when Hamilton gets out of control. We got to reel him in. I go, whoa, redneck. That's what. But what did you ask me, Fares? I don't even know.
What was your preparation and your mindset going to your match with Moose Haas?
Yes.
My mindset, I've never been, it's the most equipped I've ever been for a match. No one, it was one of these, I haven't felt bulletproof in a long time. And I did that day. And I remember thinking, I like to think, I don't do anything perfect. And I don't do anything perfect the first time either. Everything I've ever been accomplished at or dare say good at, I've had to fuck up before I've ever gotten anywhere from it. And you guys are now starting to see this. This is the best match I've had in months. These are the hardest questions I've had ever in my Schmoedown career. And I like to think that I've responded with getting back to in the 80s I think it was in the low 80s. I know everyone cares about numbers now, so I got to talk about them. I don't give a shit about numbers. I'm more interested. I'm more interested in what goes on behind the eyes. I'm more interested in knowing what players are thinking in situations, how they respond to pressure, how they respond to disappointment. I'm more excited. That to me is exciting about the Schmoedown, as we see people, in these pressure situations. The numbers don't mean a lot to me, but evidently that means a lot to enough people that I should bring it up. But getting back, I like that I'm getting better as the questions are getting harder. I think that's a good sign. And I felt great going to the match.
Yeah. And for our number of people, Justin, and for our number of people, Saul hit 82% of his questions. So boom.
Yeah.
14 out of 17.
There's a little bit of distruth here when he says he doesn't care about the numbers, because one number I know he's got to care about, because it came in big for the major today, and it's came in big for him all year, is the name that he's got right there at the very bottom of the screen that doesn't say Saul. It says league leader in steals. And if I'm not mistaken, you're more than double of anyone else in the entire
9 out of
league,
10.
singles IG, of anything else. You had more than double anyone else's steals this year. How important truly is steals in the Schmoedown?
Well, I have 9 steals out of 10 attempts. That's my first steal attempt ever. Parker actually caught up. Parker now has 6 steals. He's number 2 in the whole league. But I think I do think if we're going to talk numbers, playing an opponent that matter-of-factly steals anything you miss, I promise you that crosses your mind. I promise you when you start thinking about, I got to score X amount of points in round 2 to get into a comfortable place. If it comes in, if you do your homework on your opponent and that opponent is automatically almost going to steal your points that you miss, it gets inside your head and it's going to make decisions for you. That's because you can't, maybe you're going to check down when you didn't want to. Maybe sometimes you get these questions, especially in round 2, probably more than ever, you get these jump ball questions where you think you know it and you could get the 2 points. And, if I'm playing someone and I know they're going to steal it almost no matter what, maybe I don't risk it. Maybe I go for the 2. Maybe I check down, and that will have a detrimental effect. So that is a stat that I do think is important. No one talks about it, so I thought I'd start bringing it up.
Travis Fishburne in the chat actually points out Goddard is going to have to give Saul the Bandit title. Yeah.
The stealer. I always knew that Saul was a robber.
Also,
okay.
Look,
Danny,
hang on.
go ahead.
before you point.
I I need to. Ben Goddard gives me a lot. He doesn't have to give me his nickname. Ben Goddard. I was with Ben for a couple hours today. We're going hitting the bag. I have the luxury of having the best active IG player in the league who didn't get any goddamn matches this year. I have the luxury of having him, you know, in my DM box every day, and being able to work out with him is absolutely one of the a huge contributing factor to the way I played against Haas. I did something after Collision that I've never done before. I've had study sessions. I've never had a study session in my entire career where people asked me questions. That never happened, and that wasn't until after Collision. And a huge part of that, Thomas has been there. Thomas. All you Star Wars fans are probably going to be frustrated to hear this, but I heard Thomas firing Star Trek questions at me.
Wow.
It was like up was down, left was right, black. You know, it was cats and dogs living together.
You're getting them all right. It was very frustrating.
That's right, I did. And
sorry.
Let me put the stream live first, then you can have yours, Danny.
Right.
From ASG. Speaking of numbers, what does Saul think of every match in the IG tournament ending in a KO or a TKO?
Well, I could only really talk about two in particular that I'm very happy about, but it was an interesting. It was interesting. I don't know that there's anything wrong with that. That's just the way it cut. Sometimes certain statistics are just there until they're not. And this was just a weird aberration this season in the IG tournament. The way that the seeding was done, it just some people didn't want to. Some people showed up, some people didn't, and it's just an aberration. It won't happen next year. I don't think it'll probably never happen in any tournament again ever. But I don't know. I enjoyed this tournament very much.
It'd be like that sometimes.
Speaking of knockouts, every victory
Technically,
you
the
had is
tournament's not
knockouts.
over yet.
Yeah.
You haven't even won a match that didn't involve in you knocking someone out. You're literally like wins to knockout ratio is 100%, man. That's crazy on its own.
That is true.
That's true.
Yeah, I like to think I give off an aura, and that's part of it. I also like to think that we go back to that Steels conversation. A lot of that is that. I think I do approach. I probably overthink it. It's probably not why, but I have a kind of method how to steal questions. I kind of have a way. It's like a mental shortcut I have in my head, and I think that's what a lot of that. Those 9 steals are the reasons why I got those TKOs and knockouts, and it's how I approach. It's a mental discipline thing. It's sort of like I'm probably just tricking myself into thinking something, but like I do train to steal questions in a weird way, and I think that is. That's why I'm getting those knockouts. That's why I'm getting those TKOs.
Danny.
All right. Since it's the Saul show, I'm going to just do 2 questions, back to back. First, was just one for Saul. Saul, how much money did you have to spend between the Brandon Hanna match and this match to have your internet better during the match? And the second question, it's for both of you because I want to get into this topic because Saul has been on a trend of matches since Collision and since a little bit before Collision, and I do think that impacts the performance. However, Thomas had that run during the tournament, but also had a huge gap between the finals of the tournament and this match. So I also want to know from both of you, because even though it's the Saul show, the special guest is also Thomas, how does the streak of matches, like having matches together, having gaps, affects the performance, the preparation, the mentality? How it influences you as a player?
Thomas, you want me to go? You want to go? What do you want to do?
Yeah, go.
Who talks first?
You talk
It's a little
first,
Star
Doctor.
Star Wars
apparatus.
what we're doing here. Believe it or not, this may sound counterintuitive, but you got to take my word for it. Maybe Thomas will disagree with me. There is too much time. You don't want too much time to prepare.
No.
Me personally, like if I could have 2 weeks notice, I feel just good enough not to overthink it. If you can give me like a month to 6 weeks, I can make hugely. I can simultaneously improve my knowledge base, expand my knowledge base, and install a thorough review where my confidence will be through the roof. Like Like 2 weeks is I would like ideally at least 2 weeks, but with 6 weeks to maybe at the most 2 months, I could really. I like my shot against anyone in the league if you give me a 6 week to 2 months preparation because of the way I segment my preparation and how I train. That's just me.
And how about you, Tom?
Nice.
Yeah, I will say I've seen I will echo General Mulligan's comments on Saul to say that the best thing that could have happened was collision. Nobody wanted that outcome, but I've seen changes in Saul that should worry any player in the division. And I think the worst thing that happened to Robert Parker was having this golden path laid out before him in the tournament, to have this sort of cakewalk in a way. And that's no shade to the opponents that he's played, but he hasn't played a Moose. He hasn't played a Saul up to this point. The worst thing that could have happened is his pathway into this title, because Saul has battled his way up to this point. Say what you will about the performance of his opponents, but to get a TKO, you've got to play at a certain level. And I think what you saw in Robert Parker so far is he's very beatable. He's very beatable. He has his weaknesses. And quite frankly, he gets rattled. He gets rattled in a way that Saul does not when he misses questions. And I have to imagine that Saul now has, live match experience with high stakes. Had it ended in a way that was bitterly disappointing. Robert Parker has not had that experience. Saul is going into that tournament final live with exponentially an advantage, and Robert Parker has everything to lose. Saul at this point in the season has earned more points than 90% of the Schmoedown competitors out there. He's earned more points than just about everybody in the IG division. He's done his job for the Den. If his season were to end today, it would be a massive success and would validate his position in the draft. And I would be screaming at Christian. I would be screaming at Kate to make sure that he's my teammate next year, and that the bedrock of the Den is IG and Star Wars, the specialty divisions. But Robert Parker, I point you back to Christian's comments on his own Facebook Live. Robert Parker's legacy is not satisfied. The hype is not justified until he gets a belt. That's Christian's words, not mine, not Saul's, not anybody else's. That's the crucible that he's up against. And he knows exactly the pressure that is. Saul's got nothing to lose in this tournament match. He has outclassed everybody that he has faced, with the exception of Amaru, and we'll see what happens to Amaru against Mike Kalinowski. But he has earned his place. I go back to Saul's comments in the wake of Collision, and he's made good on every single promise that he made back to the fans. This man is a warrior, and this man, quite frankly, is going to stand on top while Robert Parker once again crumbles under pressure, under the spotlight, because that's exactly what's going to happen. Now, my own personal philosophy is I absolutely agree with Saul. There's too much time to prepare. Look no further than Ace Cabrera last year. He had 6-7 months to prepare for Spectacular, and just completely wilted under the spotlight. Granted, that was a digital match, but he just completely fell apart when the time came. And that just, I don't know what to say about that match. There's only been a handful of KOs and TKOs in the Star Wars division. That's one of them. I don't know what to say about that. I will say that I very carefully engineered my preparation for this match to manage the time that I had between that tournament match, that tournament final, and this match. And my folks like Saul were integral in that preparation. And I'm going to do the same in this match. I'm taking a little bit of time off. I will make no secret about that. I'll be playing along with these tournament matches as they roll out. And, if somebody wants to underestimate me come December, come Collision time, that's on you. You think I'm going to be not prepared for that match coming into it? by all means, underestimate me. I will be happy to embarrass you in front of the entire Schmoedown community live in Los Angeles.
Actually, I want to point out, I believe Saul has gotten 14 points this year between his 2 4-point matches. Between the real rejects, he got an extra point each for a knockout, and he TKO'd his last 2 opponents, but he don't get a point.
What are you, 6th overall, like 5th or 6th overall of 96 rostered players in the MTS, Saul? Something like that? I know you don't keep up with that sort of stat.
I believe he's frozen.
I think he's frozen.
Okay.
I believe he's
very
frozen.
intently.
Or
I was like, look, I
he's
was-
good enough
look,
blinking.
I was like, dude, he is like digging. This
He
stuff
is
that Harper's putting
intense.
down so
He is
hard.
intensely.
He was intensely.
I
paying
will
attention to that.
remove him. I will remove him right now. He'll come back when he's on.
I think that's where he is. I don't even embellish at all. I think
He's
going
back.
into this match.
And he is he back? He'll give me the okay when he's back. But I do have a question for him and you, Thomas. I think I was having this thought when it's in the second round and you have your questions, right? And you know for a fact that the opponent next to you, when you miss, is going to steal.
Right.
There's a high likely chance of you will not get these points back. What do you guys think does that to your opponent, knowing they have an extra thing to think about? Like, if I miss this question, he's gonna steal it from me, and he's gonna get more points. Like, do you see what happens to them, and what do you think goes in their minds, knowing that my opponent is going to get my 2 points or my 1 point in this case?
I think I got into Andrew's head. When my board goes up, when I flash my board and my pen is down, you should know, if you're thinking straight, that there is a 100% chance that the correct answer is on the back side of that board. And if you think it's wrong, if you think that I don't have it, if you think that I'm bluffing, I dare you. And I think Andrew had every bit of confidence in the guess that he had today. And it came back to bite him.
Way to go, Danny. You fucking jinxed it.
Yeah,
you did.
You looked like you were paying like rapt attention.
Yeah, Saul was like, you were
I
like,
had to say.
I was. I love you. Fucking everything Thomas said was accurate. I fucking.
I haven't looked at the point totals, but Saul, I think you're like 5th or 6th of 96 total rostered MTS players this season.
Yeah, but Kate shouldn't have traded for me. That was a mistake. Everyone knows that.
Well,
Yeah.
it's.
I also
it's
believe that
questionable.
It was a reach. To take me in the second round was such a reach. It's not like
So
three.
here's the
It's
thing,
not like
too.
it's not like I had verbal commitments from 3 other managers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never talked about that, did I?
Also, I think the only people beating Saul are people who've participated in championship matches, and you
People
get
that
7.
have held belts.
Yeah, and you're getting 7 and 8 points per match. And you know what I mean? So of course they're gonna be above the 14 points Saul has. Like
Before
regular
this
people.
match,
Yeah.
before this match, Saul had outpaced me.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna
Thomas
say
got
this
7.
real quick because this is something that Saul said from the very beginning when he even first joined the
Oh
league
wait, no,
last
time
year.
out, Justin. Saul, did you hear my question?
No, I'm sorry. What's that? What's
All
that
right, so
first?
my question was, what do you think goes in the opponent's mind when it's the second round? The second round, and they have their questions, and they look across from you, across the virtual battlefield, or even like in real life across the table, knowing that your opponent is going to take your points. You're if you get it wrong, you're gonna lose 2 or you're gonna lose 1 point. What do you think goes into their mind, knowing that they have to play you and Thomas? Because you guys have been very keen at thievery this year.
I don't know exactly what goes through their mind, but I know it's probably not positive, and I know it does affect their game. And again, like people, I've been very disappointed with the reactor space and a lot of the commentary after the matches overall this year in the Schmoedown from a lot of people in the YouTube space and other places. So I haven't really followed it as much, especially lately. But one thing that should be, I hope people are starting to understand, because maybe I don't know, people are telling me it's not, they don't really hear it anymore, is people wanted to blame my wins on people's bad performances, and at no point did anyone really ever draw a correlation to the fact that I was making good players play poorly. Why they never drew that conclusion, I don't know. maybe because I didn't come out into the reactor shows and tell them this. Maybe, hey, statistically speaking, I'm making Greg Albin. The real rejects have sort of become like a punchline to certain people in the reactor space, which isn't fair to the real rejects who are not bad players. No one was saying that about John Humphrey when he was winning tournament matches last season. No one said that about Greg Albo when he had a TKO this season and he almost beat Mike Kalinowski last year.
Yep.
I think, to circle back to your question, Fares, I think my steals have had an effect on my opponents. I think they know, and it makes it, I don't know if I'm not saying they're scared, but you have to account for the fact when you're deciding whether to go for it or not. You have to account for the fact if I miss this, they're going to take it. You have to, and if you're not a good player.
You saw it in Moose.
Yeah. So
in his head.
If I don't know the exact thing they're thinking, but I know they're thinking about it. And to me, right there, I'm winning. Right there, I'm winning. You're thinking about anything other than the answer. So guess what? I've gotten in your head, and I didn't have to, say anything. I just had to sit there and be me. And I've been doing it all season.
Yeah, Justin. Before you, we have a Streamlab from Dagan. The numbers are actually afraid of Saul. Cheers, y'all. Justin, now you, my brother.
The biggest thing is something when Saul came into this league. Now he has built himself up to where he's coming into like the finals of this tournament. And if he even wins this, he goes on even further. But the main thing that he started talking about whenever he first joined was he wanted to come into the IG because he was technically going to come in here for singles. He wanted to jump into the IG, though, because he wanted to play certain particular players like the Robert Parkers of the world, the Mike Killer Kalinowskis, maybe the Mark Anopics. Well, guess what? You've earned your right to start playing those players. What do you think about that, Lam? What you're going to do with this chance and opportunity that you have to actually step toe-to-toe with these players you said yourself that you wanted to play against?
I feel like rehearsal is done. I feel like we're out of dress rehearsal now. Now this is kind of what I signed up for, to play a player at the level of a Robert Parker, and then to hopefully then go on and play for the championship at Spectacular. That's where I always saw this going. That's where I always wanted this to go. That's what I've been working towards every day for almost 2 years now. So again, like, dress rehearsal is over. No more stumbling, no more not knowing your lines. It's going to be word perfect from now on. And it will bring out the best in me because the Schmodown hasn't seen my best. You've never seen my ceiling. I promise you. I've made promises before and I followed up on them. I'm going to make them again. You haven't seen my best work, and it's coming. I like the pressure. I like the thermostat that Robert Parker sets the room at. That is a next level elite player, and I can't wait to share a table with the guy. So it's exciting. I feel like preseason just ended, and this is it. This is the one that really counts.
Yeah.
And
I'll say this, Saul's been touched the hot stove and been burned by it. I don't know what lesson Parker learned losing that and fumbling that. I think he's going to have the yips come this next match. I think he's going to be in his head. The entire conversation from anybody that has watched his matches before is going to be, does he fumble in the spotlight again? Does he fumble another opportunity to get to the top of the mountain? And that is a heavy weight to carry in your rucksack, to be like, the only way that this particular player proves himself to me is if he wears a belt. That's a hell of a burden to carry, but that's the one that Robert Parker bears right now. Saul doesn't bear any of that weight.
In a sense, of course, that's my interpretation, but let me say my hot take. Sometimes I feel that Thomas is what people wanted from Parker on the Star Wars division. You and Parker had a lot of expectations before you guys actually competed in the Schmoedown, but you didn't fumble.
Yeah, I chalk that up to the age difference. Parker's in his early 20s. He's got a long career ahead of him. I've fumbled before. I've lost Dragon Con. I've lost to some very good players. People like to chalk up players like Mike Kalinowski, like, oh, he's old, he's washed up, there's no way he can do things. I'm at the peak of my game right now. And I'm not going to lose to somebody like Gold Leader in their early 20s on account of age alone. And I chalk up Parker the same way. I remember what I was like in my early 20s, and it's choke city, right? And I think Parker is very aware that if he loses this match to Saul, which is a very real possibility, his nickname isn't going to be Spider anymore. It's going to be the choke artist. And Saul is going to tattoo that on his back at the end of this match, because I firmly believe that he is going to play in line with exactly how he has been in every single high pressure match. And he's going to choke. The spotlight is going to burn a hole in him, and Saul's going to step right through that hole and walk onto the championship match. It's spectacular. And Saul, I look forward to playing alongside you at Spectacular in December.
Wow. Yeah, I just want to go grab some In-N-Out beforehand too, because if you've never had it, it's the best part about Southern California by far.
Also,
and there's one not far from Kate's house too, so it's within walking distance.
This is true.
Also, too, this age
I want a
thing.
lawyer like that, by the way.
Yeah, I do want a lawyer like that. Like, hey man, I need to call up somebody if I get arrested.
need to go to America.
This thing about this age thing and this age and like older players, I don't think they have it. Like they say that about John Roquelaut due to the fact that he's like almost 50. Oh, he doesn't. Someone told me, a competitor told me that this is a physical sport, and if you don't understand that it's a physical sport, yet you will never succeed, because young 23-year-old guy can stay up all night drinking bangs left and right, and then has a match at 7 o'clock in the morning maybe. But you have the older competitor who's well rested, actually does, because the brain is a muscle. If you don't improve the brain, it's like any other muscle. If you don't work out, you're not going to have strong muscles, period. And if you don't work this out, you're not going to succeed, period. And I believe certain competitors are understanding that. I believe, Saul, you're one of them. And I think, Thomas, you're one of them. You understand that, like, this is still a physical thing, and this is a muscle. I need to work it out. Then you have these the younger competitors who be like, I'll stay up to like 4 o'clock in the morning, drinking as much as I want, and then I'll wake up at 12 o'clock and do my match at 1. And guess what? During the match, you're going to forget something. You're going to forget something because you're like half asleep. And I think that's the thing. I think that's the thing. It's proper rest and preparation makes better results. And I think people need to realize that. Competitors need to realize that.
It is absolutely, there is a physical component to this. I know no one wants to think about that part, but I know players who've lost because they failed to prepare physically. I've lost because I didn't prepare physically. I've lost matches because of the physical nature of the Schmoedown, not because of the mental. It had nothing to do with my cognitive functions. I lost a match because of physical stress. And so I can tell, and I know other players that have too, just talking to them. I know, and it's an easy trap to fall into, because you just think, especially in the digital era where you're just pulling up, you're doing a goddamn match on your cell phone or your computer, you're just going to roll out of bed. You could roll out of bed and turn the phone on if you really wanted to, but it's an very under, no one really talks about that because it seems silly, but if you really get down to it, there is a physical component to this game, and I've seen good players lose because of it. And I don't mean me, I mean other players too.
Man, it comes down to simple things too, though. Not just like being hydrated or not drinking out all night. It's also about being prepared for the match as well. Like something easy is like making sure you went to the bathroom beforehand. Because if you're thinking about pissing yourself the whole time, you're going to probably forget a director's name or a character's name or something like that. So like even at the simplest terms, it could come back and bite you in the ass. You got to pay attention to all that stuff. You can't just come in here all willy-nilly and think you're going to win matches and stuff like that. I guarantee you Thomas Harper, because of the way he is, has probably a 10 list check thing that he just checks down every time before he like sits down for a match, probably, to be perfectly honest with you, because the dude's that prepared. And I think that's some of the things. Like today they even mentioned in the match, they mentioned Thomas Harper with his board again, right? Like the other team being misinformed for like the second time this year. Oh, Thomas Harper, he's not going to know what to do with himself in the speed round because he's going to try. He can't rely on his board, bro. That board does have nothing to do with how fast he answers questions. That board is to be precise And that board also, like, if you don't watch the match, like, you literally see Thomas, even on things he can't steal, he plays along to the other person's questions regardless, keeping that mind sharp. I see that, Tom. I see you, Thomas Harper.
Yeah.
I see what that
Look, I've got 2 kids. I've got 2 kids and I have 3 jobs. So if you think that I somehow have this like wealth of time to dedicate to the Schmoedown, I don't. I really don't. You do the math on when you think I have the time during the day to study. But I welcome you. If you think you can perform at your peak by pulling an all-nighter and studying your notes or studying until the minute before the match, if you think you're going to perform at your peak level with that type of cramming, by all means. And that's why I'm happy to have won the belt off of somebody like Dimolanta, because he comes from a similar cloth, right? He's got a kid. He doesn't have unlimited free time. He's got a professional life, and he has to balance it the same way that I do. And I respect that, because I know the kind of sacrifice that it takes. And I know the kind of sacrifice that somebody like Saul puts into it every single day, because I've seen it personally. I've seen the sacrifice that he makes helping me out when he's marching toward his own match. So, it's youth may be an advantage in some capacities, but, I know how to manage my time, and I'm going to be surgical about it. And go ahead, think that that's your advantage. Think that you're going to be quicker than me on the buzzer, or that you'll actually have a lead going into the buzzer round. By all means, have that confidence.
And I will say this, talking about the physical nature and the preparation, every match that I've eaten an apple before, I've won this season. the one that I didn't.
Apples.
The one that I didn't.
So you're telling me it's all fiber.
Just saying.
Fiber is the key.
I'm saying the carbohydrates in apples, I think, lend, at least towards me, improving cognitive ability.
Saul gave me his philosophy on apples, and I very much subscribe to it. So there's something that.
I like 2 small apples 90 minutes before the match, like Macintoshes, or I'll take or a big one. If I have like a Granny Smith or a Golden Delicious, I'll take that, or 2 small ones. And I think the carbohydrates in them burn at a steadier pace, so you don't crash or anything. And to me, it lends towards I'm more cognitively acute when I eat them. Just saying.
I agree, man. I enjoy a good Granny Smith. I like a good Granny Smith. Also, we have a stream.
I like a good Fuji. Fuji's very underrated.
Fuji's not bad. That's a quality apple.
Brazilian apples are the best apples, by the way.
Yeah.
Go on first.
No, Brazilian women are the best women. You've confused this.
Yeah, Danny, you're confused. Streamlab from AJ Lancaster. When Saul came into the league, I was a skeptic, but I've been a big fan from the first promo. Saul, man, your dedication to this craft is inspiring. I'm thankful for what you do here. It's from AJ Lancaster to you, Saul.
Here.
Thank you, AJ. And I'm sorry that my promos have been lackluster lately. I don't like. I think it's an area of the game that I need to get back to work on, and I know they've been disappointing. But fucking deal with it. A lot of movies to watch.
Deal with that. Danny, Danny, your final thoughts, Danny.
Look, I'm liking the energy of this room right now. I like that you have this Saul intensity, but also the seriousness of Tom. So let's go a little bit more deep, because Thomas has brought this up a lot tonight. I have talked about this a lot in the beginning of the season when I saw you guys play for the first time. People in the chat are saying this a lot. So regardless of what's going to happen next year, I think that factions, the teams, they're all about identities. Even the factions before the system that we have now. I think the Lions Den had an identity. I think the Horsemen at some point got an identity, the 5 Club, etc. Is there any kind of responsibility upon you two? Because I'm not disregarding the other members of the Den. I'm not disregarding Alonso or Ben or Peggy or Riley, but I do think that some factions have players that are the face of the factions. They create the identity of the faction. And one of my criticism last year for the Den that I didn't saw any identity. Now I see the identity with you two representing the Den. Once again, I'm not disregarding the other players, but I do think that you guys are being the face of the Den. Does this bring responsibility? Do you guys have any kind of mentality how we're going to go forward next year, even though things might change? Who knows? And now that we approach the end of the season, and now you guys in a very interesting place in terms of standings, is this helping or creating more problems to the preparation of the matches, to the talks inside the locker room with the other competitors, the talks with Kate? I want to know a little bit more about behind the scenes, because how a lot of people are seeing you guys, including myself, as the face of this faction.
Saul, if you don't mind, I'll lead.
Please do, champ.
I think what tonight showed, and what has already been showed from Saul's body of work, is that the Den starts and ends with the specialty divisions, right? If I have accrued any amount of political capital, I will expend it on keeping my own place with Kate, and B, if I have any left, in keeping Saul as a teammate, because he has been instrumental in my success, and I think he is exactly what we need to give the Den an identity, and that's a domineering force in IG and Star Wars. There is no other faction that has that right now. There are lots of factions that kind of have presence in one or the other. There are factions that have a strong singles presence. Even the Mercs, I think Dimalantis to some extent operates in the shadow of a great team like Shazam, right? Mm-hmm. I think if I have any predictive ability, it will be that Saul and I form the core of the Den going into season 8 or season 9 rather. And we will be actively lobbying to bring highly skilled singles players to solidify the other 3 spots. The biggest travesty in this shift in factions and this shift in roster spots is that there will not be spots for all the players that I would want. The Rosses, the Lacey's, the Switchblades, the Peggies, the list goes on, because we have a really strong faction that really supports each other. It just hasn't metered out to points yet. So, I think there are going to be conversations to be had about what those other 3 singles and team spots look like. But if I have any say in the matter, the 2 people on this screen right now are the core of the Den. And we'll worry about the rest when the time comes.
Nice.
So, I think
yeah, I'm not gonna deviate too far from anything Thomas just said. My dream team next year is the team I'm on right now. I have no interest in playing for any manager other than Kate Mulligan. Yeah. And I want everyone on my faction who's here right now to be here again next year. I know that's not going to be the case, but when we got word that the faction system is going to change next season, we could have, I think a lesser faction breaks into pieces. It's just sort of, I could see how a lesser faction would have just thought like, well, what's the point? We got nothing, I could see how that would happen. And if I'm sure there are factions, I'll just say hypothetically, because I don't know, honestly, that did sort of have that feeling where people sort of peeled off because they thought, well, my job isn't secure anymore. I don't blame them, but I've done more work with this faction after that announcement than I did before. And I did a bunch of work before too. Again, I've never had a study session before until having a study session, which is is a new phenomenon with me. And there are people, and these people are still very invested in me. And that, to me, I do feel an obligation to pay that back to them. And it's a testament to who they are as people. Thomas mentioned, everyone. It's a testament to every one of them that they're still dialed in. Again, Ben Goddard, if he's in this tournament, is also knocking people out. The fact that he didn't get a match this year I just don't understand how you can get an IG match.
Mhm.
I don't understand that. That's not fair to me, the way I see it. And the fact that he is still kicking my ass with Pirates of the Caribbean questions not like a couple of hours ago, and he's still dialed in, and he takes that role as captain just as seriously now as he did in January and February, is a testament to his character and how he really is a captain.
Yeah.
So I agree. I don't want to play for anyone. I don't want to go off and I know I probably shouldn't have said that, but I have no interest in being anywhere else but where I'm already is. Where I am.
Like that. It'd be like that.
I know,
Well, on that note,
Thomas,
Justin, your
I
final
have one
thoughts?
other thing to ask. Well, yeah, that's what I know. We're trying to wrap it up. I know that Thomas said he had to go. Like, or you need to go right now in the second, sir. Need to promote anything?
No, go
All
for
right.
it.
No, I was just gonna listen. I mean, this ain't gonna be the easiest of questions to ask you. Like, it is what it is. You called out and said you wanted a Maru. You told everybody that's what you wanted, and you got it, and it didn't end well. You've been talking about wanting people like Mike Kalinowski and Parker, like I said earlier. How is this going to be different than the Amaru match that you had not long ago?
Because I back then, it's the difference between knowledge and wisdom. I now have the wisdom of what I did wrong, and I will not do it again. You're never going to, no one's ever what happened at Collision? I'm not saying I'll ever, I could lose a match. I'm not saying I'll never lose again. I'll never do what happened at Collision ever again. That'll never, ever occur. The mistakes that I made on that day will never, ever happen to me ever again. I know what I did wrong, and that's everyone's problem. The fact that I can self-reflect and look at and take this whole machine apart and then rebuild it and make it better based upon knowing my limitations, that comes from the wisdom of self-scrutiny. And you're never going to catch me again. I got caught in a trap game. If you're a football fan, you know what a trap game is. I got caught in a trap game. I'm not going to get caught again. And if you don't got to believe me. You just tune in. You think I'm going to beat myself again? It's not going to happen. Sorry. You're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way if you want to beat me.
And I think on that note, let's wrap it up. The core of LGR would like to thank the core of the den for coming on and bestowing us with their presence. Let's start with
I am the core of the LGR.
Shut up, Danny.
I'm the
Thomas,
emperor.
let's start with you. Where can people find you, and where can people find you and everywhere you do?
Yeah, so you can find me yelling about Y-Wings, except for this question that I got wrong in this match at Thomas L. Harper.
No, you got it right. You just missed.
You got it right. You misheard.
You got it right.
I
said the technical
provided the serial number. No, no. You can. I welcome you to come yell about Starfighters with me on Twitter. I also co-host a podcast called The Joint Geeks of Staff at The Joint Geeks. It's a group of national security professionals that ramble on and on about the intersection between real world national security and very geeky sci-fi stuff. So you can find us at The Joint Geeks.
Saul.
And
no, let him.
I'm just gonna say, I just got to go ahead because I'm not gonna go on Twitter real quick. It's like 2 seconds. But you know, without a shadow of a doubt, that a Thai Whisper would whoop a Y-Wing's ass every day. Tom.
You know what, Hambone? You and I were friends up until this very moment. And now I feel like you can go hang out with Gold Leader for all I care.
Oh, you're gonna send me to the guy that's like the name of a Y-Wing like flyer?
Hey, man.
Get out of here.
He said go hang out with the dude who shops at Baby Gap.
He doesn't know the difference between a K and a Z. You can go.
Is Gold Leader still doing? Is Gold Leader still around? Is he still playing?
Yeah,
he's like the Jar Jar Binks of this league.
Yeah.
Oh, that name's they put that in quotations, right? Gold Leader. That doesn't. Yeah. He can't. He's being sarcastic, right? When he says that.
Yeah.
More like Goldschlager, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's an inside joke.
So, where can people find
I'm on. I'm on Twitter because they forced me to. You can go on there, and I'm usually talking shit about Schmodown stuff. I just want to say I'm so happy Thomas joined me tonight because
you joined him.
Well, motherfucker, I'm me. So from my perspective,
We're all together. One big happy family.
I'm going to say this. 3 people in January I took notice of who were promoted. There's only 3 competitors in the Schmoedown that I took notice of in the deluge of rookie interviews.
Wow.
And I was on this show in January that I heard Thomas Harper speak, and he was speaking about, and normally if I heard someone talking about Alex Damon, if I heard them saying like, oh, like anything about him, I would just roll my eyes. And there was a couple of Star Wars players who did sort of, talk about it, because basically everyone's getting asked like, what would you do against Damon? Thomas was the only one who, when he said it, I didn't call bullshit. Just something about the way he said it. I go, this guy's for real. He's serious. Thomas Harper, and I'll give a shout out to a guy who had a rough rookie season, but I hope he's in the league next year. I don't know this guy, but Felix Moret did an interview that I noticed that made me take notice and take pause, and I actually told Kate about him going into the draft. Felix Moret did an interview that I did notice. Thomas Harper and Lacey Gillerin were the only 3 rookies that, to me, stood out in this whole draft class and that I wanted to be on my team. And I could not be happier with how that worked out. Because Lacey Gillerin, if he's in that tournament, I think we're having an all-den tournament. We're having an all-den spectacular, which we probably will end up having anyway in the Star Wars division.
Yep. Danny, what about you, my man?
Look, you can always find me here. Thomas, I know you work in the Army, you're part of the Army. So if you know somebody in the Department of State or Homeland, I'm going to send my number. If not Saul, I think the boat idea from Cuba is still good.
Yeah, we get you to Cuba and then 90 miles. I mean, you look like a lean dude. You could probably, how's your cardio? You could make that swim, right?
Hey, you just float on a log.
Yeah.
We'll get you here. All right,
He's got a
there
long
you go.
finger. Listen, if he shows you his finger, he can literally paddle from Cuba.
And due to your complexion, they'll probably want to arrest you.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
They'll be like, oh, it's just you're
You're
swimming.
Right.
He's
Yeah,
an
Thomas
American
knows.
lost at sea.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Man, then they're gonna hear him talk and go, "Oh shit,
Nah, he's not
Throw him back.
American.
it's a Russian."
Throw him back.
Toss him back.
Put him back in the water.
One day, America.
We've
One
been
day I'll be there.
Listen, on mine, I'm going to be super quick. I'm just going to skip some of the stuff that I would say at this moment because I am going to re-promote something I did at the beginning, and that is next week's special show. I don't know exactly who we're going to have as guests. I'm pretty sure we'll have a couple or at least one on there. But next week, Friday's show, because of one of our guys that supports everybody in here, I even see him like retweeting stuff from Saul. I don't know why, but he does it. He probably even interacted with Thomas here a lot of times. That's Mr. Ed Haskell. That dude has supported the community, whether it be money, whether it be retweets, whatever. He does what he does. He likes
You have an
videos.
Ed
He
on?
tells everybody that likes Ed. What?
No, we're not having Ed on.
He deserves it.
We're doing a
Ed-
show, but for
You're having Ed,
I mean, he can
Ed
come
on?
He can come on. He
Yeah,
can come on. It might
if he
help him
wants.
get some more stream yards. But next week, because of the flood that happened from the remnants of Hurricane Ida, he got impacted very hard. And we are, as a community, trying to step up whatever we can. Next week's stream yards, whatever we get, no matter
labs,
how much it
Stream
is,
labs.
whatever. Stream labs. I don't care. I said it wrong. It don't matter. But anyway, if you donate that night, no matter how you do it, no matter how you donate, we are sending every single penny of that to Mr. Ed Haskell to at least help out a little bit. And every little bit helps, man. Like even if we only, if next Friday we only
That's
get him
awesome.
$100, that's a damn bill. That's a bill that he can pay, that he can sacrifice some of his other money on something else he needs. So it doesn't matter. Okay, let's get together. Let's do this for another member of our community. We might not be able to do something as big as what Kevin Smets had, but next week we're going to do our best to do what we can for Mr. Ed Haskell.
Yep.
Yeah. Join.
All right, y'all. And on
Gentlemen, it's been
Thomas?
amazing.
You should have Ed on and then ask. And then
Listen, we should have Ed
you should have Ed on and ask him the story about the night I almost fist fought him.
Wow.
Oh, you always grabbed you. And you didn't
Listen,
know.
Anyway.
we'll put Ed
Yeah,
on
he-
here and make him do a sad face and
Yeah.
play that Sarah McLachlan song like they do with the other stuff. Like, can you help donate to help save the animals or whatever it is?
All right,
We'll do
well,
what we
That's
got.
good. I like that.
Yes. On that
There
note, guys,
is thick as well.
I'll take
right,
us.
I've gotta hop
Thomas
off.
has to go. Thomas has to go.
Yep.
Let's let Thomas.
Yeah.
Much love. Thank you
Thomas
for being
was
here.
a pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for the
Thank you,
support.
Mama.
See
Yeah.
you soon.
Love you guys.
All right.
Night,
All right,
champ.
guys. He's gone.
Here's the
Well, on that
champ.
note, guys, I am Fares Muthana, and here it is what we're gonna do. Make sure everybody to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Let's Get Ready Network. Also, subscribe to our Twitch at twitch.tv/LGR Network. Also, everyone, visit our website at letsgetreadynetwork.com. Articles, editorials, faction standings.
You better dodge some of those articles.
You can dodge some of them. You can read.
You're lucking out.
Yeah, you are.
There's a couple on there that are full of shit. Some of those articles suck. Don't go to that website.
No, go to that website.
Go
Josh.
to the website.
Go to that website. Also, guys, we have a merch store.
Hit piece writing, son of a bitch. What'd you think? I was going to be nice all night?
No, you weren't. I know you weren't, but let me finish the plug.
I know. Here's the fucking thing that sucks. Everybody knows that I got a special relationship with you clowns. You go to the website and there's this hit piece where some asshole is blaming Saul for tanking the Den season. I mean, like, what is that?
Wait. Did he go on our
This is
website?
journalistic bias.
Wait 1 second.
Unbiased.
Did we have a member of our team write an article for our website? They called Saul a no-draw motherfucker.
I work with video, not
I'm
letters, Saul.
obviously even as biased as Josh is, he wouldn't dare call me a no-draw motherfucker. He just basically said I ruined the Den season, and that Ben Goddard should sprint away from the Den.
He really
The captain of the Den
Brandon
needs.
Hanna.
It doesn't fucking matter. I love Brandon Hanna. You don't see me taking out people over it.
You know what? Honestly, you shouldn't be taking people out for Brandon Hanna. It ain't that serious. Okay.
Yeah.
It ain't that serious.
Yeah.
Also, my last two things. We have a merch store, store.letsgetreadynetwork.com. Also, we have a Patreon at patreon.com.
What are you selling on there? Anti-Saul shirts? You got shirt like a picture of me with a circle and a slash through it?
One? I will make one if you keep.
I'm sure Josh has some designs already lined up.
Every Josh's face is with anti-Saul, like Saul's face, like.
You know what? We're gonna start selling those just because you keep interrupting my damn plugs.
Doesn't surprise me.
Shut up.
Should I cut my hair? What do you think?
Yes. Cut it short.
All right.
You look
Some
like
girls would like that.
Yeah, you probably a little tug. You know what I mean? Also, guys, we are on.
It is weird.
All the audio
it is weird being with a chick when you have long hair like this and they have long hair. It's a little. It is a little like.
Because the hair like gets.
Okay, guys, the audio feeds. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, actually, Stitcher, Anchor, Overcast. Yeah.
Don't let anybody do that, huh?
Yeah, hey man, we're special. So in your face.
Yeah.
Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Republic, and the Brazilian Podcasting Network. Type in Let's Get Ready Network in the search bar and we will pop up. If you can rate us, rate us. If you can review us, review us. If you can't do either, download and listen. It's much appreciated. Last time I checked, we had 6,200 individual listens, 23 unique listens. Let's get to 7,000, and I appreciate everybody. Also, tomorrow, I believe, we have our debut episode of Drop Kicks with Dagan. And on Sunday, Any Given Schmo Day with Dagan and Corey. If you want to, it's a simulcast. It's on stereo and Twitch. Twitch.tv/LGR Network and stereo at stereo.com/DaganSB or stereo.com/Corey Cameron. Make sure
this is a lot of information, Fares. We gotta break this up.
We've got to cut out some of those.
You got to do this. We got to.
This is a network.
Yeah. I mean, but you don't. Yeah, but you don't watch fucking ESPN, and they don't be like, "Well, watch the Giants game on Fox 5. Watch the 49ers game on CBS." Like what? Do they?
No, but this is all on our network, so it's the same channel.
Man. But
maybe you should chill out with the network. Just do this show.
We got
whatever.
I know.
Slow. Danny needs to get paid. Do more stuff. Do more stuff for Danny.
Yeah, I got to agree
That's
with
true.
Here. Best comment of the night, possibly. It's a lot of spot fest. I mean, come on, man. Like, we need y'all guys to look at the podcast. We need you to look at Apple.
Links in the description.
Spotify,
Fine. Links in the description.
Google, and
Thank you, Brandy.
Run my damn whatever.
Thank Odin for Brandy Parker. That's all I'll say.
We do have the links in the description.
Okay, fine.
Brandy, should I cut my hair?
Brandy, should he cut his hair?
And if you subscribe to the Patreon, there's the Behind the Curtain, the new series that Fares is doing, interview every single member of the crew of the Let's Get Ready.
Want to interview Josh, and then I'll take part, and then I tell some things.
He will
Listen,
interview
so,
Josh.
so I'm gonna go in with the very last thing really quick. Look, I don't advise you. Look, this is the thing. When you go to I don't advise you to cut your hair because there's something special about when you go to eat at the pink.
It's for real. I'm ready.
Boo!